Okay, let's unpack this. I mean, imagine ancient prayers asking for strength,
Hmm.
not just for people, but for like the oxen pulling carts.
Exactly. Or even, gods who get their power because they built things.
Yeah, it's a really intriguing world we're stepping into today, sometimes quite surprising.
Welcome, everyone, to the deep dive. We're diving deep, as you said, into a really foundational text, a collection of ancient hymns from the Rig Veda.
And our mission here for this deep dive is really to get past just, reading the verses. We want to pull out the key nuggets of knowledge, the insights,
Hmm.
give you a kind of shortcut to understanding the core beliefs, the concerns, what life might have felt like, all from these incredibly old prayers.
Yeah, trying to grasp the worldview reflected in them. And we'll definitely pull out some of the surprising bits, the memorable
So
images.
the sources, these are hymns,
Right.
right, addressed to all sorts of different beings.
Right. And the sources themselves, these hymns, they're addressed to just, well, a huge range of beings.
Not just the big name gods.
No, I mean, you have Indra, Agni, sure, but then also
Mm.
cosmic pairs like heaven and earth together, Dawn as a goddess,
Mm.
and even things that feel more like personified skills, like the arbus we mentioned, or even chariot parts getting invoked.
Wow. So it's really diverse.
Very diverse. It suggests a world where the sacred, wasn't just limited to the top gods, so to speak.
Okay, so let's jump right in. What do these hymns actually tell us about what people, well, really cared about back then? What were they praying for?
Yeah, what were the main concerns? When you look closely, a few fundamental human needs really, really stand out.
Like what?
Well, strength is a big one,
Hmm.
and it's very practical strength.
Practical how?
They're asking for vigor, yeah, for their own bodies, but also, crucially, for their working animals, and even for their kids, their future generations.
Oh.
There's this specific plea to Indra, oh, Indra, give our bodies strength, strength to the bulls who draw the wains.
Wains like wagons.
Exactly, heavy carts or wagons. So they need strength for the animals pulling them. And it continues, strength to our seed and progeny that they may live.
Huh. So physical power for farming, transport, family continuity,
Yeah.
it's all linked.
Absolutely. It
Hmm.
grounds these prayers right in the realities of, an early agricultural society.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And tied closely to that, I imagine, is wealth, prosperity.
Definitely. And again, it's not abstract wealth, it's tangible stuff.
Like,
Cattle. Repeatedly, they ask for store of cattle. You see the word kine a lot too, meaning cows. They
Hmm.
want to be rich in kine and offspring. They talk about a seed of foodful riches, wanting to share goodly treasures.
so cattle were like the main currency, the main measure of wealth.
It seems like it. They even mention seeping triple wealth and treasure. So yeah, cattle are central to that idea of prosperity.
Okay, so strength for work and life, wealth from the herds. What else is really pressing?
Safety, protection, that comes through loud and clear.
The world felt dangerous.
It seems so, yes. People are constantly asking for protection. From harm, from enemies. You see, please, safe may we be until we reach our homes.
Very specific.
Yeah, or prayers asking that enemies lose their vital breath. They're looking for complete and perfect safety, calling on deities like the Maruts for their auspicious shelter.
They're asking to stay misfortune. I saw that.
Yeah.
And even praying against childlessness.
Yes, remove ye childlessness,
Yeah.
explicitly. And wanting to be declared sinless for our perfect safety, linking maybe moral standing with physical security.
Interesting connection. And there's a war aspect, too.
Oh, definitely. Prayers like, conquer in battle, Agni, all those foemen. It's not a peaceful backdrop all the time.
And underneath all these asks, strength, wealth, safety is the ritual itself, right?
Yeah.
They need the gods to actually listen.
Exactly. That's crucial. They ask for their hymns, their oblations, their offerings to be accepted, to be enjoyed by the gods. Enjoy the offering, one verse says plainly.
So it's sort of transactional. We do the ritual right, you give us what we need.
It certainly seems that way. A relationship built on proper ritual, correct performance, and exchange.
So, okay.
Yeah.
The basic human needs are clear. Survival, prosperity, security. Now, who are they asking? These divine beings. Sounds like a big cast.
It really is. And there's this sense sometimes of an overarching divine power.
Yeah.
See phrases like, great is the God supreme and sole dominion.
Like a collective power.
Yeah, or maybe a fundamental order. The gods generally are called things like imperishable, deathless, ancient, eternal ones, sovereign rulers, holy, mighty. There's a sense of their enduring power.
But then within that, you get very distinct figures, like Agni.
Agni's fascinating. He is fire. the sacrificial fire, the hearth fire. He's the connection, the messenger between humans and
The
gods.
go-between.
Right. He's called a hearer of prayers, the eternal one with heavenly luster. He's the god's envoy, carrying messages and offerings to many a quarter.
And he has a meath-sweet tongue. What's that about?
Huh, yeah, that's evocative, isn't it? Maybe suggests the offerings consumed by the fire are pleasing, or that his speech, the crackling fire, the prayers he carries, is sweet to the gods.
Okay, Agni the messenger. Then there's Indra. He sounds like the big hero type.
Totally. Indra is power, strength, the warrior god. He rules through all his powers heroic. He's the one you ask for strength.
The fort crusher.
Yep. And the famous Vrtra Slayer. That's his big story, defeating the cosmic serpent or dragon Vrtra to release the waters, essentially enabling life and order.
Ah, okay, a foundational myth.
Exactly. And what's really interesting, you mentioned this line earlier, is the idea that all ye deities abide in Indra.
Yeah, what does that imply? Is he the boss?
It could suggest that, maybe a kind of hierarchy, or that he embodies the collective power of the gods in some way. It's a hint at a more complex structure than just a list of names.
Definitely something to think about. What about heaven and earth? They seem important, mentioned together. Dyava Prithvi.
They are a fundamental pair, often called mighty heaven and earth. They're invoked like primal parents, the supporters of all existence.
Leaders, they're called sometimes.
Yes, be our leaders for our high advantage. The hymns say ancient sages found them, implying they're basic to how the world is understood.
And they're sort of separate but connected?
Right? Parted, but standing forever watchful. They're even called two mothers. And there's another hint at unity. They're upheld by the one all.
That one all again. Interesting. And sometimes they just address the Visvadevas, all the gods together.
Correct. Which reinforces that idea of a collective divine force, or at least the appropriateness of addressing them all at once sometimes.
Okay. And specific pairs come up too, like Mitra and Varuna.
Yes, very often paired. And their main job, it seems, is upholding law.
You mentioned law before. Atta.
That's the one, RTA Tata. It's a massive concept, not just human rules, but the cosmic order, truth, the way the universe should work.
Like physics and ethics rolled into one.
Kind of, yeah. It's the underlying principle of reality. And Mitra and Varuna are its guardians, its enforcers.
How so?
They're described as having eyes that close, not always watching. Mitra, specifically, is said to sustain earth and heaven through his pure laws. They maintain the order.
So Ida is the cosmic OS,
Hmm?
and Mitra and Varuna are the system admins. Got it. What about Dawn? Usas.
Ah, Usas, a really beautiful figure. She's the daughter of the sun, embodies renewal, light breaking through darkness.
Ancient and young. How does that work?
That description, ancient, young, and full of wisdom, probably points to the eternal cycle, right? Dawn happens every day, forever, so she's ancient, but each dawn is new, so she's young.
Clever. And she also follows the law.
Yes, she moves as Lata ordains. She's bringing forth light, the wonderful, waking everyone up, arriving on her bright chariot. She's like the daily visible proof of cosmic order.
And linked to her are the Asvins,
Yeah.
right? The Nasatyas, often mentioned in the morning.
That's right. They're known for being super quick to help. Most prompt to come and stay misfortune, one hymn says.
The divine first responders.
Huh. Me. They're associated with Usas. They drink the sacred Soma drink, and their chariot is famous because it can change shape.
Change shape. Why?
Perhaps symbolizing their speed, their ability to be anywhere, adapt to any situation to help. Their kinship, being twins perhaps, is called a glorious title, showing family ties matter among the gods too.
Okay, now. The Arpusas. You mentioned them earlier. They sound really different.
They are genuinely unique, called Sudhanvan Sens. They aren't exactly born gods.
No. So what are they?
They're master craftsmen, artisans. And the hymns say that through their amazing skill, their work, they attained divinity.
Wait, they earned godhood through craftsmanship.
That's what it says. They crafted their way into the divine club, basically. Became friends with Indra, won everlasting life.
Wow. That's a really different idea of divinity. What did they make?
The texts give examples. They formed the chalices, maybe the cups for Soma. They made a cow from a hide, which sounds like incredible artistry, maybe even animation.
Like bringing something to life.
Possibly. Or just incredibly lifelike. And they worked on the two bay steeds, the divine horses, perfecting them. Their heroic acts were acts of making, of skill.
So the path to the sacred isn't just prayer or sacrifice. It can be making things, being good at your job.
It certainly suggests that, doesn't it? It really blurs the line between, mundane work and divine potential.
That's fascinating. Any other key deities we should quickly touch on?
Just briefly, Savitar. He's fair-tongued, golden-handed, associated with stimulating things like prayers. Comes from heaven.
Okay.
Pusan is a protector, a guide, sees everything, sees all living things. At a glance.
The divine shepherd or pathfinder.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And Soma, that's the ritual drink, but also personified as a god. He goes to the gathering place of gods, sits at the seat of law, Hatha again, gives food, gives strength, conquers foes. The drink itself is a deity.
To drink is the god. Okay.
And finally, Brahaspati, called loved of all gods, the bull of men. Wise can't be deceived, receives gifts, sort of a priestly or wise council figure among the gods, perhaps?
It's such a rich picture. A dynamic world filled with these powerful beings, but also grounded in very real human needs.
Exactly. And the way they talk about it, the language, the imagery, that's where you find even more clues. Sometimes really vivid, sometimes quite puzzling.
Yeah, you mentioned the practical imagery mixed in, like the chariot details.
Right. Strong be the pair of oxen, firm the axles, let not the pole slip nor the yoke be broken. It's so specific.
And they name the wood.
They do. Kayar and Sinsapa timber for firmness. It connects this like cosmic journey or prayer directly to the physical reality of building a sturdy chariot.
But it's not all practical. Some imagery is pretty harsh.
Oh, definitely. That line, let him who hacked us fall headlong downward. Him whom we hate, let vital breath abandon. That's not subtle. It's a powerful curse.
No kidding. And what about that weird bit about heating an axe for a flower?
Yeah. Verse 23. Heating an axe to cut a mere small blossom off. It's strange. Why heat an axe for a flower? Maybe it symbolizes, like, using excessive force for something small. Misplaced anger. Or maybe it's some ritual code we don't fully get.
Leaves you wondering.
It does. That's part of the texture of these texts. And the animal metaphors, too, are everywhere.
Like comparing a slow horse to a fast one.
Right. In verse 24, contrasting a sluggish steed or even an ass with a proper courser or charger. Feels like maybe a judgment or a way of talking about potential versus reality.
And the red beast mistaken for a bullock. What's that about?
Good question. They bring the red beast deeming it a bullock. Is it a mistake? A trick? Some kind of substitution or ritual? Hard to say for sure.
The animal stuff, especially cows, seems really central, though.
Absolutely central. Bovine imagery is constant and seems deeply symbolic. The great eternal born in the cow's home, the two cows, the mother and the daughter meeting, the milch cow licking another's calf, Earth licking her own calf of 18 months.
It's a lot of cow imagery.
It really is. And milchkine giving nectar even without calves. It feels like cows represent nourishment, abundance, maybe cosmic creative power, motherhood, the earth itself.
More than just livestock, then. They're cosmological figures.
Very much seems that way. Even the bull takes on this huge significance, wears all shapes, embodies power.
Okay. And beyond animals, there's other really mysterious stuff, too, right?
Yeah,
Almost
there
like
are.
riddles.
Yes, loads of it. Images that hint at deeper meanings we can only guess at now. Like, the sign set between two ancient dwellings. What sign? Which dwellings?
Or the King Universal lying on couches in the woods.
Right. Or the divine growing in old plants and younger ones. The child of two mothers wandering free.
It feels very symbolic.
Deeply symbolic. The hoary envoy piercing deep inside. The variant pair, dark, bright. Sisters, the two cows, mother and daughter, meeting again.
You really get the sense of a world perceived through these powerful, sometimes cryptic images.
Definitely. It's a different way of seeing and describing reality, often cyclical, often paradoxical.
So, stepping back from all these details, the prayers, the gods, the weird imagery, what's the takeaway for us today? Why should you, listening now, care about these millennia-old hymns?
Well, I think for one, they offer just an incredible window into, well, the deep history of how humans have tried to make sense of the world, how spirituality develops.
Seeing how people way back then grappled with the big stuff.
Exactly. Life, death, prosperity, danger. They were dealing with the same fundamental uncertainties we do, just in a very different context. And they sought meaning, order like that concept of Atta and connection with powers they saw in nature and beyond.
It shows that impulse to connect to something bigger is ancient.
Very ancient. And it also just highlights the sheer power of language, of symbol, of poetry to shape how people understand and interact with their world. These weren't just pretty words, they were tools.
Tools for dealing with reality.
Yeah, tools for seeking blessings, for establishing order, for building community around shared beliefs and rituals. Reading them reminds us how deep those human activities run.
So it connects us to a very long human story.
I think so. It's a potent reminder that our own ways of finding meaning, our own desires for security and understanding echo these voices from thousands of years ago. The core experiences are timeless, even if the expression is vastly different.
Okay, a lot to think about there. As we wrap up this deep dive, maybe here's something to ponder, drawn right from these hymns. Consider this idea, which seems pretty strong in the Rig Veda, that the sacred, the divine, isn't just up in the sky or in some separate realm. It seems interwoven with everyday life.
Yeah, that comes through.
It's in the strength of the oxen doing the work, the specific timbers chosen for chariot, even in the things humans make, like the arpus crafting their way to divinity.
Right.
So the question is, what does that perspective, where divinity infuses the mundane, where skill is sacred, tell us about how they saw their world? And maybe, how might that challenge our own modern tendency to draw sharp lines between sacred and secular, divine and ordinary?